We got another car, and it looks like it's a 242, 3 males outside. Land can hear them saying that they have guns, Del Paso Boulevard.
Ever wonder how a neighborhood becomes bad? How many times have you passed a once grand old home or store in an advanced state of decay? If you've ever traveled Del Paso Boulevard out of or into Sacramento, you know what I'm talking about. The name Del Paso comes from the name of the ranch that Del Paso Boulevard and North Sacramento are part of. Rancho Del Paso means the ranch of the pass. That pass is between Sacramento and Emigrant Gap. The 44,000-acre ranch was once the largest thoroughbred horse farm in the world and was responsible for producing California's first Kentucky Derby winner, Ben Ali.
Oh, it absolutely had a reputation as a highly skilled ranch, but produced amazing horses.
The nation's first transcontinental railroad was routed through Rancho Del Paso by James Hagan, who had the rail line ran through his property so his thoroughbreds could be shipped back east up to 100 at a time.
It ran directly through Hagan's ranch and provided transportation for products along the way.
Hagan owned the ranch for 50 years, but by 1905 the racehorses were gone.
We bought 10% of it. So they bought it in 1910. By 1913, there was passenger service.
The North Sacramento Land Company contracts with Northern Electric to provide streetcar service on their new route along Bassett Law Avenue, what's now Arden Way. And the easternmost point was another new workplace. It was a slaughterhouse.
In 1915, the first automobile bridge opened across the American River, and Del Paso Boulevard became part of the Lincoln Highway, the first coast-to-coast road in the U.S. In 1918, the Liberty Iron Works won an $18 million contract to build airplanes for World War I. The Swanston Meatpacking Plant and the Liberty Iron Works were two of the largest employers in North Sacramento. They helped form the economic base that would build early North Sacramento's oldest neighborhoods. In 1922, the Liberty Iron Works stopped making airplanes. Fortunately, a new attraction some 10 years in the making was about to open. In 1914, the firm that designed New York City's famous Central Park was hired to create Del Paso Park. The park would stretch from the arcade to current-day Del Paso Park. This was all part of Hagan's original thoroughbred farm and is made up of these current-day properties: John Mackey Park, the Sacramento Horsemen's Association, Hagan Oaks Golf Complex, and modern-day Del Paso Park. The Barberworth Barn next to John Mackey Park may be one of Hagan's original barns. In 1924, Del Paso Park opened and the road that led to it was widened and renamed Del Paso Boulevard.
Having a road as your featured place, Del Paso Boulevard, this is a high-tech way to travel. People were really interested in automobility, and now that the government had gotten into the business of creating these good paved roads along the Lincoln Highway, it became easier to own a car.
The golf course, now known as Hagan Oaks, became a destination for celebrities, hosting the likes of Bing Crosby, Babe Ruth, and Bob Hope. It was designed by Alistair McKenzie, the same man who built the Masters Golf Course in Augusta, Georgia, and the Pebble Beach Golf Course in Monterey, California. The same year Del Paso Boulevard was born, the city of North Sacramento was incorporated.
You know, as a kid, I have only really very fond, pleasant memories of the place.
Christmas time when we used to come down here, I go, where are we? I love this place.
We had a roller skating ring, bowling alley, two theaters. We had ice skating ring.
The bike shop, the hobby shop.
Had our own fire department, our own police department.
It was a main street in every respect. You had everything you needed. It was safe.
And it was a hustling little town.
So what happened? How did the land of thoroughbreds and golf courses turn into the place your parents warned you not to go? Well, it all started in 1947 when the 160 bypass was put in, essentially blocking off downtown from Del Paso Boulevard. This took all the traffic that once ran through North Sacramento directly out to the suburbs of Carmichael and Roseville. Before this, Del Paso Boulevard was known as the Great White Way, just over a small but beautiful bridge adorned with lighthouse-like light posts. After this, Del Paso Boulevard was hidden under an overpass. The North Sacramento Freeway, now known as the 160 bypass, acted like a tourniquet, cutting off the flow of life that once made Del Paso Boulevard thrive.
What happened is you also lose a lot of incidental customers. People who would have been driving through and happen to notice a business and pull over are no longer driving through the neighborhood at all.
In the late 50s and early 60s, the worst neighborhood in Sacramento was the West End, what is currently Old Sacramento. In an effort to reclaim historic Old Sacramento, the city started a project that would reshape Sacramento drastically. They created the Capitol Mall by destroying hundreds of old homes, essentially clearing the slums of the West End and pushing much of its population north.
Between the 1960s and 2000, we went from 3,000 hotel rooms and about 500 or so baby people sleeping on the street to 3,000 homeless people and maybe 500 or so hotel rooms in downtown Sacramento. They weren't homeless until their homes were destroyed. The assumption that it was better for people to sleep on a clean sidewalk than a dirty room.
At the same time, North Sacramento was merged into the city of Sacramento in a bitter 1964 election that was decided by only 6 votes. The sad irony of this election is that many of the merchants on Del Paso Boulevard voted the city of North Sacramento out of existence.
North Sacramento was in pretty dire economic straits, and I assume a lot of the business community there felt like it was more advantageous to them to become part of the city of Sacramento than to remain independent.
Many were still bitter about the bypass that negatively affected their businesses less than 20 years prior.
And then the city took it over, and the physical plant went to heck.
When I graduated from Norte Del Rio High School in 1973, North Sac was, on the decline.
The infrastructure here, nothing was fixed. Potholes in the street, just the whole overall area just went downhill.
Of course, all the neons were gone, all the candy canes were gone when I moved in.
It didn't look like a complete town anymore.
Well, it was the early 60s. A young man was shot across the street, in the alley across the street.
I was told in 1980 when I moved to Sacramento not to come to Del Paso Boulevard because they'd kill me. And so I stayed away.
This girl came in with a 2-piece bikini and some furs hanging off her shoulder and some cha-cha heels and says, "Hi, my name's Bunny. I'm the local hooker."
I thought ladies of the night just worked in the night, but it turned out they were working 24 hours a day. It's like, oh my gosh, don't they sleep? And why are they hanging out in front of my new store?
For years, when people came into the rink, they'd go, "Aren't you afraid of getting shot?" I go, "What are you talking about?" I go, "There's nothing wrong here. This is a great place."
There were several bullets, I don't know, but one ricocheted and grazed the leg of one of my friends that was standing right in front of my store.
I don't think the boulevard's all that bad, though. It's hit and miss.
Over the years, there have been countless efforts to restore Del Paso Boulevard to its former glory.
Well, I don't know if you know about the whole second Saturday that they were having here, the art community.
At the early days, we had second Saturday, second shift.
They started it here, right on this strip, this couple blocks.
All of the sycamores along the boulevard were planted by community members.
They even built those houses right on Dixie Ann for the artist community. And then they fixed up the buildings too, so that they have the old-fashioned look that we liked way back in the 50s when we used to come here as kids.
And it just lately, I'd say in the last 3 years, that it's been coming back with the boulevard getting rebuilt, new street, sidewalks, that kind of thing.
We're kind of impressed at how the community's come together and done stuff here.
So it's taken a long time to get this area back to normal, I guess, if you will.
It slowly got better and better, but now it's much better.
There's always been a small but dedicated community keeping watch and trying to make things better.
It's just a combination of folks that are concerned about the boulevard.
And there are a lot of good people here.
It's the community, if they're talking about community building.
They're good people out here.
And I just think the potential here is really, really good.
All of that adds up to a pretty hip little neighborhood that's coming out.
Will the new Kings Arena be good for Del Paso Boulevard?
The arena is a small stitch. It's a small piece, and cities are built of an enormous number of small pieces.
I think it's going to bring up the value of all these businesses.
Oh, I hope so. I sure hope so, because they're only going to be a couple ways in.
You don't want to end up being just a parking lot for some other part of town, unless they're coming here and saying, well, we're going to grab a bite and then we're going to go to the Kings game.
It's going to bring a lot of traffic with the light rail coming right down here, and I think it's going to be really good for Sacramento.
I do have hope for the future with this area.